Hi, everyone. This is Sebastian Traeger, Managing Director of Reliability Center, and welcome back to another episode of Reliability 4.0. As always, we're on a mission to make the world a more reliable place. And our company does that through root cause analysis, but we like to have all kinds of people as guests who are thinking about reliability, safety, quality, etc. And so today we are thrilled to be joined by John Ramirez of Rehrig. John, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
John, let's just kind of start off. Give us a little sense as to what Rehrig does and what your role is at the company.
All right. So Rehrig Pacific is a family-owned company. It started in 1913, so it's almost 110 years plus. This is a company where the family values are living by. We all feel that in different ways. So it's not just on a paper. We all feel that. So it's one of the most things that I like to work here. What we do is a company that got two business units. We work for the environmental side. So we do trash cans. It's one of the big main products. So the trash cans you had outside your houses, that's what we do, right? The whole thing. The body, the lid. We also do the recycled containers. 30-40% of our business comes from that. We also now work with retailers and we do a lot of e-commerce stores for Amazon or Walmart. That's been another part of our business. And the rest of the business goes with pallets. We do plastic pallets, right? And we also do containers for beverage like Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, and others, right? So it's injection molding primarily. But we also got some other lines in delivering. So now we got a new line of business where they're concentrating on how the guy delivered in a 7-Eleven, imagine a truck coming. So the company is delivering technology to unload that truck from the 7-Eleven very quick. So that's kind of new, the company, new terrain there. But where I work is more on the manufacturing. I work here in Orlando. The company got 7 plants. We got 6 injection molding machines here, and I am the reliability manager here at Orlando.
Excellent. Okay. So reliability manager over the plants all across Orlando. Are all those plants there in Orlando?
I mean, the company got 7 plants across the country.
Okay.
In Orlando, it's just 1 plant.
I see.
And we got 6 injection molding machines on the plant. So my role is here local.
That's great to hear. So give us a sense as to kind of a little bit of your origin story. How did you become the reliability manager? Is that something when you were a teenager you dreamed of becoming, or how did that journey happen for you?
Yeah, no, good question. I run in Colombia, in South America. Over there, I studied 2 careers and I ended up working for a sugar mill, a huge sugar mill. There were more than 800 people at the plant, a huge maintenance crew. And I always started on the maintenance side, right? So working there on the shops, I become more on the predictive technologies, start driving a reliability department there. That it was on the predictive preventive maintenance technology, right? So basically from the beginning, I started working on this. So all the time I study all the best practices, SMRPs, and everything related to how can we do this thing like world class, right? How the best of the best do these things, right? So I think I always train to had a position when I can live those strategies, right? Not only sit in a paper, right? So when I came here to States in 2017, I had the opportunity to get hired by this company. They hired me as a maintenance manager. They want to turn around this plant. And before you know, from the maintenance manager, become reliability manager. Between that and a break that I took going to an aluminum facility for 2 years, being able to be a reliability manager for a while.
Great. So before we dive, I want to learn more about what you've done to kind of turn that plant around at a reliability level. But you've mentioned that you're in Orlando. What is the best thing about living in Orlando?
One of the best things living in Orlando is that the weather is kind of plain, right? So yeah, it can be hot, can be a little cold, but compared for some of the places in the country, this is a nice place to live where you had beaches, the sun, you had lakes, so you can have a family environment where you can stay with your family doing outdoor activities the whole year, right? So this is one of the best things, a good place to, spend time with your family and being out in a family environment.
And do you go to Disney all the time?
We had done at some point, and one of the good things having a membership so you can enjoy. If you live here, you had to have that membership. So you go there in a no rush and you go so many times you want. So we enjoyed the membership for a year.
That's good. Yeah, I could see that being every 5 years, get the membership and kind of see what's new
E-
and just, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, it's
that's
good
good.
stuff.
So let's get back to what you did when you arrived. You mentioned the plant was not in good shape and you came in and were tasked with getting it better. Let us
Yep.
know, what exactly did you do to get from things not working well to getting in much better shape?
Again, the strategy I put is in three tiers, right? Let's start with the low-hanging fruits, right? So what are the things that are not assembly properly? Let's check the things that have broken that are not assembly properly. Where are the oil leaks? Where are oil leaks everywhere? Let's tackle those oil leaks. Let's tackle why the oil is so hot, why these pressures are so high, why this press is having these noises. So all of those are low-hanging fruit. You work in a place and you put your technical experience on place to get all of the bad practices out of the way. Sometimes pretty obvious. You walk into a place and you're seeing that there is a lot of bad experience, that people don't following best practices for any reason. The reason
Mm.
doesn't matter, but best practices are not following, right? So once you fix that in the first month or two, those best practices, you sit down with your team and say, hey, this is the thing, independent from how it was done before, this is the thing, how it's going to be done moving forward, right? Then the second stage is when you're saying, all right, I'm going to do my top three. So a weekly top three. What is the thing that we're going to fix this week? So we got a cylinder that is breaking every so often, every 3 months. So let's fix that top three, right? We need to redesign it, go back to a spec, check if it's doing by a spec first before you intend to redesign it. But if it's doing by a spec and everything is by the book in the way it shows, maybe it requires a redesign. Maybe something else that it wasn't taken in consideration during the design that needs to be changed. So all of those things, there were sensors that were not the right sensor for the application, PLCs that they were not the right application for what they were intended for. So you start getting a quick root cause analysis. You have to act very quick because you're making a plan for next week. So
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to get rid of those top three, and it's always a top three. So you're expecting to have new top three every week or two, right?
Okay.
Once you do that for 6 months, the next stage, that is a longer stage, is planning and scheduling. Now your downtime is, instead of 20%, maybe it's in a good 10, 12, 15%, and you made some progress. But now how you can get that 10, 12% downtime out of your way, you need planning and scheduling, right?
Okay.
So at that point, you
That's
start
great.
that next stage.
Great. So that's great. So basically it's like low hanging fruit, top three, planning and scheduling, or some like longer term process where, yeah, these problems are going to take a little bit more time. I mean, that's like pretty amazing. I mean, that's, as you were thinking about that, I've kind of been on the business side more than the technical side in my work experience, but even on the business side, that's kind of the exact, I would not have thought of it that way, but that's effectively the same process you go through, right? Like what's just obvious, let's get that out of the way, and then let's try to whittle our way down. How long then would you say, from a results perspective, do you feel like it took to get from kind of where you were to where you wanted to be? Is that process that you outlined, is that a 1 year process? Is it a 5 year process? Give us some sense as to, if somebody comes into a new place that they feel like isn't up to the standard they want, what's that time horizon going to look like?
Good question. At some point, I thought that answer depends on size, but through experience, I found out that that's not. So, in my mind, a good 6 months to put the first stage, the low hanging fruit,
Okay.
right? Between that time, you had the first 9 months, and in parallel to that, will give you the first and second stage. So you start seeing progress in the first 12 months. So in the first year, you already had to have your feet into planning and schedule. But at the same time, the first year, you're seeing your downtime cut it on half at minimum, right? But it still is not enough. So it's a good 2 year process that I've seen as a minimum for turning around a plan from being on a 20% downtime to a good 3-4% downtime.
Okay. So so that's kind of the time horizon you would give them. That's pretty significant results. And I would argue like a relatively quick time, right? To be able to reduce downtime by that much. So that's, yeah, that's
Yeah.
impressive to kind of think about. Now, as you do some of that, we like to talk about technology and practical technology. What tools would you say are important for that process? Are there software tools out there, other tools that you're using to kind of get you through that process of improvement?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, when you are in that technical side, you need to make sure you're using, and there is a lot of experts out there that you had to consult and get that guidance from them, right? So if we're talking about electrical stuff, get your fluke gear with you. If you're talking about a PLC, if it's in PLC, you will say there is a lot of out there, right? Stick to the ones that are being for longer, right? Go, if your plan is Siemens, go with Siemens. Your plan is Alan Bradley, go with Alan Bradley. Right now, everybody wants to do a mixture of things. And my experience is stay to the guys that have been in the business for a long time. And then once you get that technicality, get your experts by your side, right? If it's hydraulic, it's restaurant, it's Parker. Who is with you on those in every spot? Get your expert behind you. But once you pass that, the second thing that I will say is the most important is your CMMS. What is the technology that you had in your CMMS? Your CMMS is key for implementing a good planning and scheduling. If you get a good CMMS, you will have the second thing, which have been able to pair a good CMMS with Power BI. So get the information out of the CMMS so you can put those KPIs in front of your people. So you're measuring, so now you're controlling. So in a summary, in every technical aspect, surrounded yourself by experts. Once you get that clear out and you're technically doing the things right, get a good CMMS.
It's good.
Good CMMS.
Good piece of technology. Well, one of the things we always like to ask folks about, because obviously it's something our company does, is where does root cause analysis play into the process? You did allude to it earlier when you were talking about kind of your top three, but how important is root cause analysis in your organization? How do you use it? What benefits have you seen?
Root cause analysis is huge, and it's a tool that has been there the whole time from the beginning, right? So sometimes root cause analysis are short root cause analysis. Okay, let's sit down between 2 or 3 guys and let's do a root cause analysis. It takes 30 minutes. When you're doing the low-hanging fruit, root cause analysis takes shorter because the problems are not as complex.
Right.
So let's say you're in a year out, now you're doing planning and scheduling. When you're doing planning and scheduling, you're going to fix problems that are either more complex because they are systematic or because when they happen, the impact is very high. For example, we had a $500,000 pump failure problem every year, right? That we had to sit down and do a really good root cause analysis with several experts that took us weeks doing a root cause analysis. Not anymore the 30 minutes root cause analysis, weeks doing the root cause analysis, but we were able to pass by, right? So now we're 1 year pump failure free, which is we got at least 3-4 pump failures every year in this plant, right? So by being 1 year pump failure free, we're saying, yeah, that root cause analysis was effective, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can do sometimes you can do analysis, but that wasn't a root, didn't get to a root. So you thought you were in the root. That took us weeks than when we were able to put that. So root cause analysis is definitely there.
And I'm curious on that particular one that you mentioned, was there kind of a breakthrough moment where you were like, oh, wow, because we kept drilling down and thinking about this, we finally had that kind of breakthrough?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, because you had that root cause analysis always in your hand, you built root cause analysis, the first iteration, and you say, we tried this, didn't work. We tried the second time, didn't work. So you, every time you do a root cause analysis in the same thing, before you know in the 4 or 5 iteration, you already had a good 4 things you're saying, I already did all these things that are contributing factors until we find the fit factor. That was the factor that was the breakthrough. And it was the fit factor that it changed the whole thing.
That's great. That's pretty neat. That would be fun to hear just a case story of that one particular issue and how that all played out. Well, it's been great having you. I always like to ask kind of like one final word question. So kind of thinking about expertise you've gained over the many years, if you could kind of rewind the clock and go back to tell your kind of early career self, any lesson, what would it be? What pearl of wisdom would you want to pass on to a younger reliability engineer?
Oh, thank you. I think it's get technical, right? I mean, we're dealing here with technical stuff. So let's say you study mechanical engineer or electrical engineer, Now we're in a world that we're multi-craft. So we need to learn from the technical and get surrounded by experts, right? So that's the main thing. Once you're good at the technical side, that you got technical knowledge, that you can fix problems that are technically sounded, get training on the best. Get people like you guys that receive this training from the best practices, right? Understand what is really reliability, right? Get certified, get a training, get to a shows, get to a expos, get surrounded by consultants, get surrounded by people that they've been doing this for a long time, and learn and strategize. So once you learn the technical and you can fix problems, learn strategy, because the both things are together, right?
Right.
If you're doing a strategy, but you're talking to a group of people that they don't believe you're technically sound, they're not gonna listen. But if you're technically sound and you had a strategy, you will shine.
That's good. That's great. That's great advice. Again, I've got some kids who are on their way to college. That's going to be advice I give them. Hey, you need to get kind of a technical skill, whatever it is, if it's in finance or in engineering or in software engineering. You got to learn how to do it, but then you also have to learn how to think strategically so that you can understand how to use it. That's great advice. Well, it's been great having you. Again, our guest today has been John Ramirez with Rehrig. We are so thrilled that you were here. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and to all our listeners, we're here to help reliability engineers and really anybody take steps to improve their skills, to become better problem solvers, and to make the world a more reliable place. Again, our company, Reliability Center, if you're looking for anything related to RCA, whether training, resources, materials, check out reliability.com. There's a lot of information there. And of course, if you're looking for software to help you do RCAs better, faster, more of them, and more strategically, then check out our software, easyrca.com. So that's all we have for today, folks. Thank you for joining us. And as always, we're on a journey to make the world a more reliable place. We'll see you on the next episode of Reliability 4.0. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.